Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole. For those of you who don't know me, I am a survivor of sexual childhood abuse. Tongue twister. And if you're watching this video, head on over to my page, Sexual Childhood Abuse Survivor, on Facebook. There is a link on my YouTube page that is, I believe, in the top right, corner in, on the photo that's on my Facebook. Please like and share this video. Go like my, Facebook page. It's where I'm just, pretty much sharing my story along with making these videos for YouTube to help spread more awareness, because my main goal is to share my story in hopes that it will help somebody, because that would be amazing to be able to, help children and, young adults who have been through similar situations as I have as a child to overcome and empower themselves to, knowing that what happened to them is not their fault. This is my first video ever speaking on this. I'm a little nervous, so if I'm looking away, moving my hands a lot, that's probably why. Sexual abuse in children is happening more often than we all know. It's crazy ridiculous. And actually, I go to Delta, so I study criminal justice over there, and in one of my classes, we had to go to a courthouse and sit through, a couple circuit court and district court cases and do reports on them. And one of the cases that I was not involved in, but one of the cases that I was able to sit in on was a CSC case, which is criminal sexual conduct. And I got to sit in on the part where, they were selecting the jurors. And the prosecuting attorney over there had asked the jury how often do they think that, something like that happens. And I remember one of the jurors' remarks was, "I don't think that it happens that often." And I was just kind of dumbfounded a little bit. What planet does this lady live on? Come on. I know that it's not broadcasted in the news a whole lot. I know, my case wasn't, but then again, my dad wasn't, a millionaire or, some doctor who worked for a big university. It was just a small town guy who, sexually molested me. And now would I have liked it to have been more public? Well, yeah, because, there'd be more awareness, more stories. These girls waited forever to come forward, with the abuse and that, everything like that, that maybe if there was more awareness about it, maybe if there was more people speaking about it, they wouldn't have been so afraid. They wouldn't have, been so afraid to come forward. And trust me, it is not easy. It is not easy, telling people, these events that happen to you. It's one of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life. It's not something that I would ever want to do again. And it's not something that I would ever wish on anybody to have to do. But in order for the abuse to stop, it needs to stop with you. So coming forward, not only gives you the justice that you deserve, it also, potentially helps other from becoming victims. Because this, case at MSU, there's, still people talking about it. There's still people coming forward. There's still more people being, prosecuted and everything like that. And it's beyond crazy. I can't. Ugh. Perpetrators are usually somebody a child knows and trusts. RAIN.org mentions that 93% of children under the age of 18 know their abuser. So that means that it could be your parents or someone's grandparents, someone's parents, someone's siblings, aunt, uncle, cousin, friend, family friend, neighbor, babysitter. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Like, you don't really actually know somebody, and that is the saddest part. Like, I mean, you think that you know somebody so well. I know so-and-so so well, I'm going to keep them with my child. And then turns around, 10, 20 years down the road, oh, hey, by the way, when I was a kid, that person that you had babysit us? Well, he molested me. I mean, so you don't really know somebody. To the outside world, a child predator seems what society deems as normal. I mean, for me, it happened to be my dad. And he portrayed the look of a good dad. He did everything a normal father would. But behind closed doors, he was a monster. I mean, that's even through like my court case and my trial. I mean, that is what at the closing statement, the prosecutor even had said, to the jurors, this man is a monster. And he was. What is sexual abuse? Okay, so for me, for instance, when I was a kid, I didn't have the luxury of attending, like classes that taught you, good touch, bad touch. Like, what is good touch? What's bad touch? What, is sexual abuse? I didn't know. I didn't know that what my dad was doing to me was that, because I didn't know what sexual abuse was. I just knew that my dad was doing something to me, that he probably maybe shouldn't have been, but I wasn't sure. I mean, it started when I was 4 years old and lasted until I was 13. So by that time, having endured it for 10 years, like, I was used to it. It didn't faze me anymore. It was a part of my life. Like, it was just, and it's so hard to explain, but at the same time, it's like, I want to explain, like, I need to explain so that other people who maybe are feeling now the same way, or who have been sexually assaulted and used to feel the same way, maybe we can, get together and discuss and help each other, grow and build and move from, this chaos, the chaos of our childhood. So, back to where I was. Sexual abuse is a form of abuse that includes sexual activity of a minor. A child cannot consent to sex, period. It doesn't matter what kind of sex you view it as, whether it just be a little groping, here and there. That's still sexual abuse. Some forms of abuse include exposing yourself to a minor. So, I mean, if any of my viewers who will watch this video, who have ever been, exposed by, whether it be an adult male, female, that was not okay. And that is a form of child sexual abuse. Fondling, which, goes in the same categories as groping, like, touching you, rubbing you in ways that made you feel uncomfortable. I mean, even if it didn't make you feel uncomfortable, that's still not okay. Like, that is a form of sexual abuse. Intercourse, which happens a lot too. It's not okay. It's not okay for anybody to be touching you in any areas of your body. Period. Not at all. Never, 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 never. Oh, and this is like why we need to be teaching our children. I mean, the whole world needs to be teaching their children good touch, bad touch, and even, going into detail by the time, like they're able to talk. Listen, no one should ever touch you down here with, their fingers, their mouth, their private areas, because that is a problem, is children are confused. They're scared. They don't know what's happening to them. And if they have never been, taught what's happening to their bodies or, what somebody's doing to their bodies, then they're just going to keep brushing it off as, well, I guess maybe this is supposed to happen, But it's not. Okay. Masturbation in the presence of a minor or forcing a minor to masturbate. That's a no-no. Obscene phone calls, text or digital interaction. Texting an underage girl like, let me see your boobs, no, that's not all right, just like phone calls, phone calls where you see, and this is it's hard to talk about because you don't want people thinking like, well, man, that girl's weird. Why is she talking about this? But even phone calls where you're trying to talk a girl into talking sexy over the phone, a minor over the phone to get off. That's not okay either. And digital interaction, photos, sending your nude photos to a minor or having a minor send, nude photos to you. That's not okay. Producing, owning, or sharing pornographic images or movies of children, which happens a lot. That is besides, next to sex trafficking, that is one of the biggest problems that we have in America today. Sex of any kind with a minor, including vaginal, oral, or anal, none of it. None of it is okay. And if it has ever happened to you, or it is happening to you, tell somebody. Get yourself some help. Don't, it's easier said than done, I know. Trust me. I've been there. I have been there, and I know how hard it is coming forward. But as a survivor, the only thing that I hope to do is to help somebody, to help you watching this video. If you know of a child who is being sexually abused, speak up. They need you to be their voice because they don't have one. They are too afraid to speak. Okay, sex trafficking is another form of sexual child abuse, which, we watch all the stories in the news and all of these sex trafficking rings being busted and hundreds of kids being, found, which is amazing, but there's so much more than what we know. It's so sad. It is so sad. It's almost like being a slave. You're a sex slave when you get sex trafficked. Any other sexual conduct that is harmful to a child's mental, emotional, or physical welfare. So, now back to speaking about my experiences. I'm not going to share all of that today, just because today I wanted it to be more about, awareness and different things, and what sexual, conduct is against a minor. just so in hopes that if anything that I have listed off has happened to, any of you, or I mean, even, like your own children or something, if a child comes to you with allegations of sexual assault, out of all the cases that have been reported where a child has told an adult that they were sexually assaulted, my husband is being a dork. Get out of here. Okay, 1%. 1% of the millions of cases a year is a child lying. So if a child comes to you with, that they're being sexually assaulted by so-and-so, don't take that lightly. Because in my case, I told when I was 4. I had told my mom, and I had told, like my grandma, and I think one of my cousins was at the house. Well, it would be my mom's cousin, so she'd be like my second cousin, was at the house, and I had to go to the bathroom. And it hurt, It hurt to go to the bathroom. And my mom asked me what was wrong, and I said, Daddy touches me down there. Daddy hurts me. Daddy hurts me down there. And, right away my mom called the cops. A cop came to the house and was, questioning all this different stuff, and nothing was, ever done about it. I was still made to go back to my dad's, even though, I had just made claims that I was, he was hurting me down in my private area. I don't know too much, like, from that time. I know that I'm pretty positive I was sent to go talk to, like, a child psychologist or, somebody in that field of study. And, nothing was ever done. It was played off as my mom and dad were going through a divorce, and my mom had, told me to say that. So after that, I never told anybody again. I just lived with it, I mean, it happened to me for, 10 years, so, well, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 8 years. It happened to me for 8 years. And after a while, like, I just got accustomed to what was happening to me, that it was an everyday thing, so I didn't feel, it's hard to explain. It didn't feel out of the ordinary. Because, I was used to the abuse. Like, it didn't faze me. I knew that when I came home from school and it was bedtime, I was to go to sleep in my dad's room, and I knew what I was, expecting when I went in there, So please, if, any child comes forward, or any child that that is being sexually abused, I mean, you will literally save their life. You will, you might not save them from all the, mental and emotional problems that will be with them for the rest of their life, but all it takes is for one person to speak up, to be a child's hero who is suffering from sexual childhood abuse. And I was saved. I was saved when I was 13. And I couldn't ever be more grateful for the 2 men who turned my dad in. I mean, I can't even go into detail about how much I, appreciate them and love them, because I can't put it into words, and then I'll get emotional and probably start crying, which my eyes are watering right now, but it's been a rough road. I tell you, but I'm here. I survived, and it was a constant battle every day. It wasn't easy. It's never easy. It's always, there in the back of your mind. Why? Why did this happen to me? Why did he do this to me? It's just, It's very, very mentally, emotionally draining. And as time goes on, it does get easier. I can promise you that. I mean, I can't promise that by telling what is happening to you, is going to be easy, but I am living proof that it does get better. I mean, I'm a mom. I have 3 children, one of whom is a daughter, and I could never, never imagine her going through what I went through. And that's why, she's 9, and by the time she could talk, I started telling her, there's bad people in this world, and, it could be somebody you love, it could be somebody you know really well, but, these are the limits on, giving a hug versus, groping or touching, I mean, she knows now that she's older and she's 9, she does know that, nobody will ever, should ever, touch her anywhere while she's a child. Even as an adult, I told her you can't, let men take advantage of you because, situational awareness. One of the things I just learned in one of my classes, I am so fully situational aware. It's unbelievable. After I, learned it in class and I'm like, wow, I'm like, man, there's things that I've been doing since I was 13 to keep myself situationally aware. And, if you don't know, how to keep, what situational awareness is, Google it. I mean, they have awesome videos on YouTube that teach you different things to help avoid, being sexually assaulted as an adult. I mean, children, you can't, there ain't really much you can do, except tell somebody that, you're being hurt. And now I feel like I'm just rambling on, but I'll go into more detail, about my earlier years and stuff and my next video. But I'm going to leave this video with something that I had wrote when I was younger. And I just recently, my grandmother, because my grandma raised me, my grandma and grandpa, and I, when I was, after everything that had happened with my real dad, my grandparents took me in and, I mean, they had always I'd always pretty much been at their house, when I was younger, from an infant on up. And, so when they took me in, I, was going through a rough time. And, I used to write. I used to write like crazy, and I would write poems and songs and anything that would help me try to heal. Sorry about that. I had to pause the video for a minute because my son came in here. But, so this is something that I wrote when I was younger, when I was, getting all that anger out and stuff. And, I hope that it helps somebody. But, okay. I don't really have a name for it. I just kind of wrote it, and I don't know, I never gave it a name. So, if you, when I read it, and if you could think of a good, name for it, put it in the comments below. And I will announce, the name that I chose in my next video. Okay. He used me, he broke me, he took the child from me, never to return again. I was just a little girl having to live in a woman's world, having no say in what was being done to me, and my little body being used and abused by a man named my dad. Letting it go on for so long, I tried to be strong. He made me feel like I didn't belong. By the time I was 10, I was contemplating death. But those 3 little words kept me hanging on by a thread. I dreamed of a father that treated me like his daughter. Bye. Hope you enjoyed my show, or my video. My show. Yeah, this is my show.